to treat oneself. This is all part of education, including the study or pariyatti. That's one part. It's just one part. So in this context now here, we are just doing pariyatti. It's not the entire education, but the reality about the academic system outside SSBU, outside Buddhism, if you ask our rector Sayadaw, who studied at Oxford, he is not known by other scholars because he is a good meditator or not good meditator, or he is a good spiritual teacher or not. He is known because of he has published. He has written a book. He has published articles. He goes to conferences and gives conference papers. If Venerable Dhammasami, our rector Sayadaw, if he goes to a conference and he just repeats or says a very basic descriptive things about Buddhism, no one will listen to him. But if you see, like, he has his own original way of approaching the Buddhist text, the Buddhist, the Brahma Viharas, meditation, the literature. You can feel more, how to say, you can like it more or less. You can feel that it's more your thing or less, but like the psychology and Buddhism, modern psychology and Buddhism, psychotherapy and Buddhism, this is a kind of new thing. It's new in the sense that we are trying to understand things. So we have to say things again in our own words. And what I mean with all this long kind of pariyaya, it's like I'm going in rounds, but this is all about your essay. I think, to me, it is very important that you take your essay seriously. But seriously doesn't mean that, oh, deadline is that day. I should be very serious that I don't miss my deadline. Otherwise, the teacher will think I'm not serious because I forgot about the deadline. Or maybe that the word count is 3,000 words. So I should not write 3,005 words. I should write only 3,000 words. Be very, very serious about that. No, this is not, to me, this is not serious. To me, this is formal. Serious means now you are alive. I'm also alive. We have a life. This is true. Hopefully, we will make it until the end of the class. If no one dies, we will stay for many, many years. So we have, but many, many years, but one day we will die. Yeah, this is obvious. So what do we do with our time? This is not just coming here to get a degree. When you write an essay, it has to be something meaningful to you. So it has to be something that comes, if I can say that, comes from your heart, not just from your brain. Something that means something to you, and then you try to explain it to others. If you want to explain it to others, you have to find a way that it should be very clear. It should have a structure. When we say it should have an introduction and then development of the argument and then conclusion, you always hear that, right, from teachers. This is the structure of an essay. You begin with an introduction, you present the topic, and then you develop the topic, and at the end, the conclusion. But this is not just a formality. It's not compulsory, actually. You can write a very good essay without these things, and you can write very, very bad essays following these things. Actually, most essays are very bad, and they still have introduction, development, and conclusion. But they are not good. And some essays, they don't have this. They just, some people, they write very quickly some idea. The structure is not very clear, but the ideas are interesting. So I'm interested in that. The exercise is about that. If you can write 1,000 words, that is fine. If you can write 2,000 words, that is fine. And if you can write 3,000 words, it's great. But I prefer 1,000 words of something that is genuine and interesting, that comes from you. It's your own idea, your own reading of the Brahmajala Sutta. What do you think about that? What are your questions about that? What can you add to the discussion about that? Rather than 3,000 words, but just repeating the things that we already know. Yeah. And we are going to read the essay. So we are going to share it here in the classroom. So then when you present your essay, all the cameras should be on. And if you see someone sleeping, you fail. If no one sleeps, then you get them. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. We will discuss it all together, and you can test that. Also, a good experiment is to work on some idea, and then when you present it here in the classroom, just explain without any PowerPoint, any presentation. Just share your idea with others. Just speak to others. Like when you go to the coffee shop, no? Sometimes with your friends, you go to have a tea or have a coffee, to take a break, to relax a little bit, no? Or maybe in the library. When you talk with your friends, do you need a PowerPoint presentation? So how do they understand you? How can they understand if you don't show him the slides? Now I'm going to say this. Look, this. I show you one picture so you understand what I say. Actually, when we talk, we don't need PowerPoint, and we understand. No? When you go to the DHAMMA talk of a great teacher, most of the time they don't need PowerPoint. They just talk, and we understand. And it goes directly to our heart, because it's word, directly to our ears, to our heart. We don't need to see a picture or a graph, like statistics or anything like that, or any numbers or any arrows or any bullet. So finally, this is what we are doing is intangible. Technically speaking, we could have an MA program without any image, just talking, but we cannot store the sound, so we have to write. What's important is the ideas. Yeah. So if you cannot think of any good idea about the Brahmajala Sutta, then we can have private. So privately we can discuss that and see maybe we can change the topic. But if the topic is okay, then you read the Brahmajala Sutta and write something. I can see that when maybe it's not true about you, but I think it's true about most people, including myself. If they tell us you have to write an essay, 3,000 words, I say, 3,000 words, how can I do that? And then the deadline is approaching and I'm sitting there, what to do now? One book here, one book there. Oh no. But then if you go to Facebook, yeah, and someone writes a comment, if you disagree, immediately you go there to write very long post about no, this is not true, this is like this. Why? Because that's your idea. It comes immediately from your mind. It's meaningful to you. It's something that you really want to say. People cannot wait, and then they start writing on Facebook. They write like 1,000 words in 5 minutes. Yeah, they write even in the comments. They are so long, and you see, how can they write so much on Facebook? And then when I ask them write 1,000 words in the classroom, they're kind of the deadline is approaching. Maybe I should just write a post on Facebook and let them comment the post, and then that's the essay. You know what I mean? It has to, don't think that this is an essay, this is a coursework, this is a kind of compulsory. Actually, this is your practice about writing things that you care about. It should be important to you. And then, because you are writing for other people, you have to write in a certain way. If you refer to some publication, you give the reference. If you refer to the Pāli text, you give the referencing. But this referencing and so on, this is formal. This is very important, formally. This will make it look very professional, very serious. This is for sure. You have to do that. You have to learn the skills of writing professionally. But if you write very professionally, but the topic is boring, what's the point? What's the point? There are many books like that, or many articles. It's okay. Every footnote, everything is correct. Every referencing is correct, but who cares? And it's so boring. I cannot read. I read the first page and I have to stop. I'm not interested. So usually people are interested if you are writing something that you really care about, you are probably going to make other people interested in that. Yeah. So I already spent half an hour about the essay writing, but this is very important because, as we were saying at the beginning, in the end, okay, we can do grammar, we can do whatever we want, philosophy. You will have to write. You have to write. You have to learn how to sit and write. Sometimes you have to write a review. Sometimes you have to write an essay. You have to write an article. You have to write a paper for a conference. And when you have to write, you have two options. You can write something that is boring or something that is interesting. So which one do you prefer? Interesting. For you, because you will enjoy writing, and other people will enjoy, and they will learn. And so if it's not interesting, that we don't even kind of, there's no point in writing because people will not listen, you know. Sometimes people write things that are very correct. What they say is true. But the way it's written, it's so boring. It's so difficult to engage that no one reads that. If no one reads, then what's the point of writing it? You know? So here you have to imagine that the whole world is going to read you, not just me, not just your classmates. Yeah. Imagine that you're writing for everyone, for the whole world. Yeah. Otherwise, you can say, okay, this is just for my teachers to get the marks. This is a waste of time. No need to do that. Yeah. No need to waste our life in this. Better to find something that you care about. You can connect the Brahmajala Sutta with something you care about. If you are doing Buddhist studies, it means you care about this. You should care about the Brahmajala Sutta. Otherwise, you will have to change your academic field. Because if you read the Brahmajala Sutta and say, actually, I don't find anything interesting here. If you don't find anything in the Brahmajala Sutta, maybe you should not be doing Buddhist studies. you should change to, I don't know, some other career. But here you are doing Buddhist studies. Some of you, because you are monastic, so clearly your level of engagement is very high. And we also have Ms. Tandaso, with her level of engagement has to be also very high, because not every lay person will make the sacrifice to study Buddhism, which, as you know, is not a career that will make you rich. No, I don't know anyone who got rich doing Buddhist studies. So it's not a kind of, I don't know anyone who is poor also. So you will be okay. You will not get poor. You will not get rich. You'll be fine. You can go on happily. But, you know, if you are here, it means there must be something in the Brahmajala Sutta that is interesting to you, that you care about. So apart from the formal thing that we've been already discussing, but I have to say that in the previous semester, your essays were quite good in terms of formality. I have to say that. The 3 students that we have here, I was very positively surprised to see that your essays were well written, almost no typos, very few typos, very few, just few things here and there that I mentioned, but basically your essays were very correct. Now, in this semester, we want to work on the content, make it a little bit more lively, make it a little bit more your own idea. Don't be afraid of that, because you can be respectful with the tradition and still give your own interpretation. Giving our own interpretation is not, the purpose is not to change the tradition or to make something very special. The point is to adjust to the present time. So the Pali text, they haven't changed in 2,000 years or 2,500 years. They haven't changed. But the world has changed. The world is changing all the time. So, okay, the Digha Nikaya is the same every day, but the world is not the same every day. That's why we can explain it in a different way, mostly thinking of, well, it has to be from the perspective of our own moment. So in that sense, we can be original. We can ask questions to help in the understanding. You can focus on one topic or another topic. Anything that makes it interesting, that is a good essay. And one good thing that you can do, actually, I recommend that a lot. One of my teachers at the university, the first year of the university when I was doing my BA, he gave us advice. That was also advice. He said, in the world, there are so many books. So many. Even you go to the library, you will never read all those books. It's too many. Even just think about the SSBU library, you will never finish that library. And outside Essay.Viết, there are millions of libraries. So you'll never finish. In your life, you will read just a very tiny part of whatever is published and written. Yeah. Maybe we have overall several thousand billion books published. You will read maybe, I don't know, how many, 3,000, 10,000, maybe in your whole life, maybe. So we have to be careful with what we read in terms of anything, a paper, an article, a book. So he said to us, if you read something, if you open the book and in the first page, you find it boring, you don't understand, you don't like it, you think it's not interesting, then close the book, away. Take another one. Don't read things that are not interesting to you. Because it's first thing, if it's not interesting to you, your mind is going to go away all the time. And even if you make the effort, it's so much effort for something that you don't really care about. You probably, if you are not interested, probably you will forget everything after 1 hour or 2 hours. So let's not waste our time with that. I would be very interested if you could find publications that you like, even if they are in Burmese or in Sinhalese, in Thai, in any language. It doesn't need to be in English, but that you can enjoy the reading, you can engage with the reading, and you can see, okay, I like this book. Why do I like this book and I don't like the other book? You can think about it. It's a kind of meditation. Try to observe what happens in your mind. When I open this book, I feel so much interest. I cannot stop reading. I open that book. After 1 page or 2 pages, I feel sleepy. I want to go for a coffee. I feel it happens to you or not? And why it happens? It also happens with TV or movies or documentaries. Something, you go on YouTube, something is interesting. Okay, we watch. Something is not interesting. We click out. Next one, next one, next one. So here, part of the exercise is also try to observe. Why? When you like something, why do you like it? And when you don't like it, when you feel that something means an essay or a book, something written, academic writing. When you don't like it, why? What is the reason? Sometimes the reason is because the English is very difficult. Sometimes. So don't just make this exercise with English books. Try to practice with Burmese books that you understand very well. Yeah, it's your language. There are many academic books in Burmese. You take various and see which one is, when you read, and I'm talking about essay. I mean, now you are writing an essay. Yeah, there are many different types of books. If you take a dictionary, a Pāli dictionary, it's very boring. You cannot. I mean, I enjoy reading the Pāli dictionary, but not everyone is supposed to enjoy that. It's just a dictionary. You know, it's a reference book. I'm not talking about reference books. I'm talking books that it's like this, like an essay. It's a book about you are supposed to read and engage and enjoy. Apart from learn, you also have to enjoy the reading, and it should keep your attention. So when it keeps your attention, try to see why. Why is it? What are the techniques that this author is using? And when it doesn't keep your attention, when you find that this book is so extremely boring and uninteresting and bland, it's like this food that has no taste, and it's like eating wood or sand or something that it doesn't taste anything. You don't want to eat that. Why? Try to see why. Yeah? Because by doing this, you will become aware of the writing styles, and you will probably unconsciously, you will begin to write. When you write, you will also write in a way that is also makes things more interesting. Yeah? Of course, there are many different tastes, and sometimes I like one book and my friend will say, oh, this book is so boring. I say, well, I like it. I couldn't stop reading. And my friend said, I had to stop the first book. This is a matter of taste, but there are some techniques of writing that certainly can be acquired and they can be practiced. Yeah. One of them, like there are many, like you will see that the books that you like, probably the sentences are not so long. Things like this, like every sentence has one meaning. It's telling you things. It's not repeating stuff, and you will see that there are certain characteristics that make writing more compelling. Also, when the writer asks questions, that also makes it more compelling. Not just telling you what it is, but also asking, formulating questions, interesting questions, something that makes you think, makes you wonder. Oh, wow. And if you think about the Buddha, so what are the Four Noble Truths? This is a question. So what are the five khandhas? This is a question. And then he will give the answer. But they are formulated in the form of a question. If you ask a question, then the people will want to hear the answer. Yeah, it has to be an interesting question. But generally, if I just tell you, do you know what are the four types of houses? You know, house for living people. There are four types of house. Do you know which four? Now you want to know, no? Actually, I don't know. I just made it up. just an example. But if I tell you there are four different types of house in the world, do you want to know which four? Yeah, immediately you want to know. Okay, tell me what kind of house. The big house, the small house, the middle, I don't know. It's just an example of how to write in a way that you take the other person into account. You're not just writing for yourself, writing for someone else. And when you develop your skills, you will be able to adjust. You are going to a conference in Bangkok, and this conference is for BA students from that university. So you will write something for them. You go to a conference in Germany, and this is a conference for academics from, I don't know, the University of Munich. They are not Buddhists. They are just academics. Okay, you have to write for them. You have to keep them in mind so that they will engage and they will get your point. You have to make a point. So yeah, these are just some tips. The practice this semester for the essay writing is it should be creative. Yeah, it should be your own ideas. I want to see that. If you can write only 1,000 words, okay, let it be 1,000. Actually, in the past, I told the students, maybe you don't want to write an essay, you want to write a poem, kind of poem. That's fine. I accept that. 1 page, 1 poem. But it has to be a good poem, not just any rubbish. Yeah? It has to be good. It has to be, you have to work on it. But if you write poetry about, like a poem about the Brahmajala Sutta, about something, we can also accept it and we can discuss it. And why not? Yeah. Anything that is creative, that it means that you have been thinking and reflecting about that. This is also part of the Dhamma Vicaya. That is one of the Bhojangas. That is Dhamma Vicaya. So that should be okay. Great. Any question about the essay? Just the topic is Brahmajala Sutta. Very simple. Deadline is 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks. I think it's going to be a reading week soon, maybe early September. So I think we have next week and then reading week. So after reading week, something like this. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So in 2 weeks, you need to bring some writing about the Brahmajala Sutta. Yeah. And for the other exercise, the analysis, you have until the end of the semester. So let me write it on the chat. So today is 22nd, and it's going to be the 3rd, 4th. Oh, that week I will be away. That's going to be 6. I'm going to share it on Viber also, so we have it there. if it opens. It doesn't want to open. Yeah. Do you have any question about the essay writing and so on? I've been talking a lot as usual.
It's clear.
Yes. Okay, I just copy paste this comment on the chat here. Great. So let's continue with the karakas a little bit. So we are going to start with the accusative. Yeah, accusative means it's a dutiya vibhakti. That's the second case ending, which in English, as you know, we call it the accusative. Like if we have buddho is the nominative, buddham saranam gacchami. That buddham saranam, that is accusative case, the dutiya vibhakti. It can have many different functions in many different karakas. But the main one is this one, as you can see, the one that everyone knows. If you say, what is the function of dutiya? Most of the time it's the object, that is the kamma. Note that the English word object and the Pali word kamma, they are quite different in meaning. They are not equivalent. In English, when we say the object, it doesn't just mean the object or the thing. It means that to which the verbal action is directed. So it's not necessarily what is done, but it can be the object in the sense of, I don't know, rukam pasami. Rukam pasami, it means I see the tree. I see a tree. When I see a tree, the tree is not what I do, something that is done, the kamma. It is the object, like here, this one, no? Something that is affected, satte pasati. It sees beings. So generally the object means something that is done or that is affected by the verb. Affected, that means something that I see, something that I experience. Yeah. So I experience suffering, dukkam anubhavami or something like this. I experience something. So this is also the object. We can simply call it the kamma in Pali. And that's the main function of the accusative. So generally the accusative is going to be a kamma. Now we can differentiate between different types of kamma or object. It can be an external object, something that is outside the agent or the subject. Ma tathagatam bihesasi. Do not harass the tathagata. So the tathagata is someone living outside. Do not harass. An abstract external object, samano gotamo dhammam deseti. So when the Buddha is teaching the Dhammam is also kamma. That is also the accusative, like tathagatam. But there is a difference. So they are both kamma. They both words, they accomplish the same function. But semantically, in terms of meaning, they are not the same type of word. Because here, harassing someone, that someone really exists. And the harassment is applied to a physical or material entity. In the second case, dhammam deseti, that is an abstract thing. So let's say it in a different way. If I touch the book, or if I hold the book, that's what I do. I hold the book, and the whole book is in my hand, and I'm holding the book at once. But if I say that I hold a talk, I'm holding a talk. The talk is something a little bit abstract. It's like teaching the Dhamma. When we say that the samano gotamo dhammam deseti, what does that mean? What is this Dhamma? It means the whole Dhamma or part of the Dhamma. It's not really clear here. What it means is Dhamma is something indefinite and abstract. So teaching the Dhamma, it can take 1 minute, it can take 1 day, it can take 3 days teaching the Dhamma. If I say I hold a book or I touch the book, that it's just 1 moment. That's one type of object. If I teach the Dhamma, It can be teaching the Dhamma. It can be in a Dhamma talk. That is 1 hour. For the whole hour, I'm teaching the Dhamma. Or I'm teaching the Dhamma for the whole day. For 1 day, I'm teaching Dhamma. Or I teach the Dhamma every day. Still, you say Dhammam desati. Yeah. So here this is an abstract object. Then there is the very important etymological object. That means it's the object, the kamma of the accusative. This idea is already implied in the verb. So if I say I eat, then you understand that I'm eating food, because food means what I eat is called food. So if I'm eating, certainly I'm eating food. Maybe you can say, well, maybe you are not eating food. Maybe you are eating, I don't know, the pillow. You are eating stone, something that is not food. But generally, let's say whatever one eats is food. So eating is eating edibles. And so aharam ahareti is a kind of repetitive, because it means eats food or eats edible things. In English, it's difficult to translate. Like takes food doesn't really capture this etymological. You see, the ahareti, it means to take ahara. So aharam ahareti is repeating the same idea twice. Yeah. I think in the Brahmajala text that we were seeing, we had a similar one. What is it? It was about one number saying. Okay, I think we will see it. We'll see it later. So this one, when you see it, an etymological object, and there are many in Pāli, so you should be able to identify. So this again is a different type of object. And then there is the object of an action noun. So an action, I said this is an agent noun here. Maybe you should say agent. Noun. You see the word apasadeta. That word is an agent. This ta is like satta, teacher, or so this ending in ta, that is etymologically tar, it creates an agent noun. So it's one who reproaches. And here, because this is an agent noun, it indicates an action. You can take an object in the accusative. So samanam va, brahmanam va, apasadeta. It's one who is a reproacher of recluse or Brahmin. Maybe sometimes you will see samanasava, brahmanasava, apasadeta. Like kammasakatta or kammam katta, the doer of an action. Another one, Gautamam dasanaya. Dasanaya is a noun. This one is action noun. Dasanam is a neuter. It means the vision. So you could see Gautamassa dasanaya or Gautamam dasanaya. Even if it's Gautamassa dasanaya, this Gautamassa in the genitive, that will stand for an object. So these action or agent nouns, they can also take an object. And this we also should be able to identify. So far these are mostly external objects. Now we have internal objects, so something that is produced by the action itself. The term in Pāli is nibbattaniya, that is the object that has to be produced. So if I produce curds from the milk, I'm creating something, or I'm building a house. There was no house, and I'm making a house. And that's doing in the sense of creating. That's nibbattaniya. But that's a different type of object. Yeah. When I'm saying the Buddha teaches the Dhamma, Buddha Dhammam desati. Dhammam is accusative. Yeah. And it's the object. But the Dhamma is already there. The Buddha is teaching it. It's not creating it. It's not doing it. It's teaching it. But in some cases, the object is actually an internal object. It's something that is really done or created by the action. So, nivasana anima petum, that means to build dwellings. Kopam na patu karoti, does not manifest anger. And at nominally, that means with nouns, papakam chittam upadeta. One who is a producer, upadeta, one who produces an evil thought, a papakam chittam, a wrong, evil mind or evil thought. Now here, the 35 is basically a repetition of what we have seen before with aharam, ahareti. But the difference is probably that in this case, it's internal. So the difference between aharam, ahareti or aharati and vitakam, vitakesati, he or she will think a thought. So if I'm thinking a thought. I cannot think an apple, or I cannot think a window. I cannot think, I don't know, a house. I mean, I can think about the house, but I can, whatever I'm thinking is a thought. So if I say vitakam, vitakesati, it's obvious that vitakesati means vitakam, vitakesati, yeah? Vedanam vedeti. What's the point of saying Vedanam? Vedeti already means someone is feeling. If it's feeling a feeling or sensation. Or charata charikam. So if I say charata, it's obviously charata charikam. Or we find again aharam ahareti. Yeah. So this all these cases are the etymological accusative that we have already seen here. Yeah. It's the same. So you can put it in the same category. In Vijayasekara's book, they are taught separately, or kind of, sometimes he does that. He's teaching something and then he goes back to a similar example, but basically we can put it all together. Is it okay so far? Everything okay?
I have one more question about agent.
Yeah.
So can we use entamana for the also for with that example, like gachanto, gaman gachamano.
Yes, but I think here I'm trying to think why he doesn't include these examples. I think that these examples, because they are based on participles, like gachanto or gantua or gato, like gaman gato or saranang gato. In this case, gato or gachanto, it's a participle, and therefore it's already a kind of verb. It's not a noun. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Actually, it's a verbal adjective. So it's tricky. So certainly you can use the accusative with them. I think his point is that it's not just with that kind of verbal form. Sometimes a noun that is not supposed to have, in theory, complements, or any complement will be just so if you have a participle, you will generally have some karakas attached to the participle. If you say Dhammo desito, yeah, desito is it's a participle. Taught, it means taught, has been taught. So here you can add so many things about desito. Dhammo buddhena desito, or Dhammo bhikkhuna desito. And you can say Dhammo buddhena bhikkhunaam desito. So the Dhamma has been taught by the Buddha to the monks. Something like this. You can add all these things to a participle. It's more difficult to add things to a noun, although you can also add them, but the nouns, usually they will just have adjectives. If you say Buddho and Buddho Bhagava, something, or the Dhammo, Sudesito Dhammo, whatever. So the nouns will usually go attached to adjectives or qualifiers. But sometimes a noun can also take accusatives, and especially if it's an action noun or an agent noun. So dasana is an action noun, and apasadeta is an agent noun. It indicates the kata. So I think he gives this example just to add one more example to the examples that we would find in cases like gamam, gachanto. These are already taken in the other categories. Yeah, they will be taken like here, like in this case. Well, I think verbs meaning the person, accusative of relation, the accusative of direction, that would be the one for gamam, gachanto, or here. Janapadam Gantva. You could say Buddham Saranam Gacchami, or Buddham Saranam Gacchanto, Buddham Avivademi, or something like this. So the participles are taken as verbs. I understand. He doesn't mention them as special forms. But the nouns, usually we don't expect a noun, whether it's an agent noun or an action noun, we don't expect the noun to take the complements in the as characters. We usually expect the complement of the noun to be in the genitive. For instance, if we go back to this one, probably if we are writing an essay, we are probably not going to write Samanam va Brahmanam va Apasadeta. We're probably going to write Samanassa va Brahmanassa va Apasadeta. Similarly, we could, instead of Gautamam Dasanaya, we could probably write Gautamassa Dasanaya, for the sake of seeing of for the seeing of Gautama. But in these cases, here the point of Vijayaseka is that sometimes you can actually find the accusative instead of the genitive. Yeah. But with the noun, the tendency is to use the genitive. And it can be we will see it later, it can be a subjective genitive, it can be an objective genitive, and this case would be an objective genitive. If we say Gautamassa Dasanaya, Gautamassa would be an objective genitive, which can be changed into accusative, which is the object, obviously. And then you have. Does that answer the question, Bhante? Is that does that make sense?
Yes.
So basically, the short answer would be that I think he considers the participles like gacchanto or gato or gacchamano, he considers that as verbs, normal verbs. But whenever there is also a noun that can, a subject noun that can take complement in accusative, instrumental, and so on, then he will mention that as a kind of addition to the theory. Great. So we will see the secondary uses also, but before that, we take a break of 10 minutes. Yeah. Let's take a break now. And I'm going to stop the recording.
Recording stopped.
Well, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Yeah. Let's take a break, take rest. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.